Hello, at the Boat Life show this year there were a handful of canal boats on display, so in this video we're going to see around them. Let's start with Stargazer, a 60-foot steel narrowboat from JF Boat Building, the hull by Tim Tyler Boats. It has a 50 horsepower Beta Marine diesel engine and a Vetus bow thruster. It has a very sociable cruiser stern with lots of seating and pseudo-teak flooring. There are plug-ins for a shoreline at both ends of the boat for convenience. Up top are 750 watts of solar panels, leaving plenty of space for walking along the roof. And the sliding rear hatch is extra long so as to make it easier to get in and out without banging your head. As you enter, there's a cupboard packed with the electrical gear which powers everything on board. Step on down and it's a reverse layout, which means the galley at the back with dinette and saloon after. Hatches for cool wine storage are in the floor, and there are kick trays underneath the cupboards, so every bit of space is used. An eye-level cooker has a washing machine underneath. Corian kitchen worktops feature a double sink and dedicated tap for filtered drinking water. Plus there's a 3-burner gas hob. Underneath, what luxury, a dishwasher. Here's the full galley spec if you want to press pause to read it. Moving along you find a Pullman dinette which converts to a spare bed. Underneath the seat nearest the kitchen is a pull-out freezer. Again, here's the spec. Press pause to read. Let's move into the saloon, which features 2 captain's chairs, a diesel stove so no mess from coal dust, and opposite the chairs a cabinet out of which a TV set rises at the push of a button. As well as the stove, there's full radiator central heating throughout. The walk-through bathroom has a pump-out toilet and a decent-sized shower. The builders were keen to point out that wiring throughout is accessible behind removable trim panels along the sides, and the same for plumbing behind the skirting boards. The bedroom has a cross bed which extends to take up the whole width of the boat so that the bed width can be full size. Lots of cupboards are all around. And then at the bow a very unusual well deck which has seating all around with sufficient depth to sit comfortably and sides that drop down to make this very much a sunroom. Certainly not somewhere you'd be storing bags of coal and dirty boots like I did on my boat. Let's move on to another narrowboat built by Kingsground for Lakeland Leisure Services, and as you can see, a nice big cruiser stern. Electrics, engine controls and tank gauges are just inside the stern doors. And it's another reverse layout, so another galley right there at the back, with microwave and eye-level oven and grill. Quick, someone activate that guarantee! A deep stainless steel sink is embedded into the worktop, under which are cupboards. On the opposite side you find the same 3-burner hob and a fridge, plus one of those teensy narrowboat-sized Zanussi washing machines designed by hobbits. And here's another view of the galley from the end looking back towards the stern. Again there's a Pullman dinette, that is to say one with a pair of seats facing each other over a table. That will turn into a spare bed. Moving along, the saloon is in the centre of the boat with a sofa bed facing a TV on some shelves. As well as radiator heating, there's a solid fuel stove with double-walled chimney for safety. Let's move into the bathroom. It has a large sink and pump-out toilet, that is to say one where the waste just goes into a big tank for pumping out at marinas. Plus a decent-sized shower cubicle. You can warm your towels and yourself on this radiator. No need to be chilly in winter. At the bow there's the bedroom with cupboards and drawers for your socks and pants and whatever else you like to store in your private spaces. I was very pleased to see a large access hatch in the bottom of this cupboard, under which was the water pump, accumulator and so on, all easy to get to. And lastly, in the bow, a traditional seating and storage area. We'll move now to Collingwood, who had both a narrowboat and a wide beam on display, so let's start with the narrowboat. Notice the square, not rounded stern. This one came with the bonus extra of viewers of this channel, who I had a nice chat with. No solar here, but I'm sure they'd add it if wanted. Narrowboats are typically built, or customised at least, to customer requirements. Plenty of seating due to that square stern, you'll notice. And you'll be getting the idea now that the reverse layout is the most popular these days, because here's another. Sink on your right as you come in, another eye-level oven and grill on the left. There's an L-shaped countertop with 4-burner hob at the end, also begging you to register it. Underneath that is a microwave oven. Unlike the others, this boat has an L-shaped dinette like mine did, which has the advantage of flowing neatly into the saloon area rather than feeling like a separate room. So if you are a social soul having lots of visitors, this is a good layout. The bathroom is a hybrid walk-through/off corridor type where you can shut the doors to make it use the width of the boat. There's a cassette toilet next to the cupboards with the usual shower cubicle tucked in behind the door. And again, the bedroom is at the bow, so it's more private than the older trad style of layout where it's at the back and everyone traipses through it coming into the boat. The boat features the usual cupboards and, note, the water gauge tucked away on the step. No seating in this well deck, but access to the bow thruster. Right, let's have a look by way of contrast at a wide beam, and you can see just how much wider they are. This does of course mean acres of space for everything, such as entertaining on the back deck. And you'll find most wide beams, I'd wager to say, use a wheel, not a tiller. Stepping down gives you the real sense of space that wide beams provide, and they almost always start with the galley at the back, connecting with a lounge area as shown here. There are plenty of houses with a smaller kitchen than this, and all the usual household appliances can be supplied, along with a vast amount of countertop space and cupboards. Equally, the saloon hosts a nice big comfy sofa, warming stove at the end, and plenty of shelves and cupboards. There's space for a big TV too. Speaking of space, you could get 2 people in that shower if you wanted, and maybe a third. You've got space to dry yourself off, as well as dual sinks, and again, note the glossily lit shelving space. Finally, one of the other joys of a wide beam must be a bedroom where you can actually move around and make the bed without having to be a contortionist. There's so much storage in here, you wouldn't know what to put in it all. Not everyone wants or can afford a steel canal boat though, and on rivers a fiberglass cabin cruiser is much more commonplace. This is some of the range from Viking, including their smallest boat, the 20, because it's 20 feet long. It's really a day or weekend cruiser and has a sociable rear deck. There's a standing position for steering and a small cabin. In there you get a dinette, a V-berth at the front which makes your bed if you stay overnight, and there's a compact galley area to starboard, although I think that sink is more of a hamster's swimming pool than a usable washing up bowl. There's a toilet compartment, but no shower, although it seems to me the compartment is waterproofed, so perhaps you can add one. For something bigger from the range, here's the Viking 26, which has a hidden cabin underneath the driver's seat. It's like one of those below-ground flats in Victorian terraces. The steering position now has a few more controls, as well as, you notice, a bow thruster, and there's the entrance to the cabin. With more space comes a much larger galley worktop, including 2-burner gas hob and sink, and then again you have a V-berth and dinette. There's a compact fridge, notice also the 230 volt main sockets, and you get a small oven plus lots of drawers. In the toilet there's also a shower, so you could stay on this for longer spells. Although you could sleep here, this is more of a guest area because this boat boasts that hidden berth at the back, which is a space just big enough for a permanent small double bed. Finally, back to narrowboats, but this is a hire boat, and they tend to be slightly different in layout because hirers have different priorities to liveaboards. This uses the so-called trad layout, so here at the bow you find not a bedroom but a combined saloon and dinette all in one, and then the galley sits behind. Notice the fold-down bench so that everyone can sit at the table for meals. Heating on hire boats generally comes from radiators, as they don't want hirers setting the boat on fire with a wood burner. Hireboat galleys tend to be smallish, as they assume you'll eat out at canal-side pubs for much of the time. That said, there's still everything you need, including hob, grill and oven, plus a microwave here, and a sink with filtered water tap for drinking. The bathroom is as you'd expect: sink, pump-out toilet, not a cassette, so hirers don't have to deal with emptying their waste every couple of days, and a shower. This being a relatively short hire boat, there's just one main sleeping cabin at the back. You get a small telly plus some cupboards, and it opens onto the rear deck. Narrowboat beds, by the way, are typically 4 feet wide, but often extend by another foot if needed, with cushions to fill the space. And out on the back, it's a sociable eating, drinking and steering area. Hope this was interesting. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.